Pullman Moscow and Beyond with Jordan Vorderbruggen, a podcast where we get to know interesting people here on the Palouse.
Welcome to the Pullman Moscow and Beyond podcast. My hope is to spotlight some of the most interesting people here on the Palouse, as well as some folks I've gotten to know from beyond our area. On this episode, we sit down with local cookie master Casey Bates to talk about her business creating custom works of art through cookies, as well as her appearance on the Food Network's Christmas Cookie Challenge. So tell me, how long have you lived in the area?
I've been here about 5 years in this summer.
Okay, and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Marietta, Georgia, which is about 30 minutes south of Atlanta.
So what brings someone from Atlanta to the Palouse?
So my husband, Nick, is from here originally, and his parents, I'm just going to say their names, Bob and Barb Bates, because everyone in the community knows them. Right. And his grandfather, Stan Bates, he was actually the commissioner of the Western Athletic Conference and the athletic director at WSU. So the Stan Bates Award, that's his family. Nice.
So they're one of the legendary Whitman County families. Yeah. And you guys live in Colton, right?
We're in Colton.
And that's kind of where his parents are and everything.
Yeah, that's where they are. And his dad runs a life insurance business out of there. He's done that for, I think, 56 years or something like that. So they're pretty solid in that community.
How did you guys meet?
I was a senior at UGA at Georgia, and he was working at an athletic facility in Richmond, Virginia, specifically Midlothian, if that helps. Okay. I was doing an internship there in the recreation area, so they needed a camp counselor, but part of the internship was you had to work in all of the departments of the athletic facility, and he was a trainer there. So I was set up to shadow him, and the rest is history.
How long were you together before you decided to move up to this area?
So we got engaged after college. He was in Lake Norman. He had moved to Lake Norman for a different position. And so I went to live with him for a few months to a year or so, just kind of see where it would go. And he asked me to marry him, and then we moved to Atlanta.
Okay. And how long were you in Atlanta for?
We were in Atlanta from 2010 to 2021.
All right. So, quite a while. And how is living in Colton versus Atlanta?
There are things I really like about Colton, about small town living. There are things I don't like about it. Since we grew up just in the Atlanta area, there's just a lot of foot traffic. You know, if you make somebody mad, or if you cross somebody or something like that, you're not really going to see them again. No. As around here, you have to be super careful. I will tell you, I miss having a Dunkin' Donuts and a Chick-fil-A until just recently we got that.
Yeah, like Chick-fil-A now.
Little things like that.
And some of the food stuff, right? There's not really a barbecue scene up here.
No, and we try all the places around here. We eat everywhere. Birch and Bradley's my favorite. Shout out to them. But Mexican food specifically, I'm still searching. There's just a lot of options.
It's just different Mexican food. What's the style in the South for Mexican food?
Around here, everything's pretty good. But back there, I actually worked at a Mexican restaurant through college, and I bartended and stuff. So I have loved Mexican food forever. Right. And the chicken in the South is really spicy. It's really seasoned. All the pulled chicken and stuff in here just haven't found to be the same. They're just different. They don't really hit the same. So you eat it to get the craving out on you. And I grew up, my granddaddy's fried chicken. You're never going to find that anywhere around here. And Nick talks about that chicken to this day. It's been a long time. But barbecue joints or fried chicken and Southern staples where you could just go in and they would have chicken salad and pimento cheese sandwiches and things like that. That's not a thing around here. You know, you miss those things, but learn to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how often do you go back to visit family and things?
I try to go twice a year. My family, they're all in Georgia, so that's been really hard because my brother's my best friend. We're only 18 months apart. Okay. As soon as we moved here, his wife got pregnant, which is the only kid between us two. So that was really tough. So I try to go twice a year at least just to show my face, be around.
Do they come up here ever?
My mom does. My mom likes to gamble. She's a big casino lady, and they don't have them in Georgia. They're not legal there. So she comes out here and she'll just stay at the Quest, and we literally will just hang around the casino for 2 days, and then she leaves.
That's hilarious.
I don't know if she would like me telling that story, but it is what it is.
There are casinos around here for sure.
She does say that the landscape around here is the most interesting she's ever seen, and she likes to just go for drives. So we'll drive from here. We go down the grade, down to Asotin and stuff, and she just likes to look.
That's cool.
She thinks it's beautiful.
Well, especially this time of year, all the hills are turning green and everything. It's pretty special.
She likes to come for the canola flowers to see those.
Some parts of the year it's kind of drabby, but it's pretty special in springtime and summer when it turns golden and everything.
And you're not sweating through the humidity and you have to change your shirt 3 times. That's different.
Definitely have some positives that way.
For sure.
So tell us a little bit about your business.
So it is a sugar cookie business, and they're mostly decorated cookies. And I do custom orders, custom work, pretty much anything you can give me, I can make a cookie out of it. So that's why we say I can cookie that.
Nice. So how did that all come about?
So I worked at another bakery just outside of Atlanta, north of Atlanta, and we did seasonal cookies there, but we didn't work with the royal icing. We worked with kind of a soft icing and butter details, which were delicious. But we kept the same seasonal shapes and decorations every year as a staple. And I just started to get really bored. So at Georgia, I had initially started as an art major and then I switched, but I think that never really left.
Right.
And all the years leading up to graduation, I was always in food and I loved working with food. And working at this bakery, I thought, how could we make these better? Just more intricate or more control over it. So in my free time, I found myself exploring the royal icing field of it, which was just exploding at the time. So around 2017, everyone was doing cookies then instead of cupcakes. And I was like, how can I get into this? This looks fun. A lot of trial and error. Getting into that is very frustrating if you're starting that. But once you get it, it's addictive. It's really fun.
What's your setup like for making the cookies, how that whole process works?
Interesting fact is I don't have a website. I tried for a while to do it with a Google form so people could get in there, order what they want. But I found that I love to ask a lot of questions because everyone has a different vision about what they want or how they want them to look. So I ask what you're looking for, favorite colors, personalization, what's your favorite thing if they don't really know. And I start with sketches and then I go shapes. I probably have 1,000 or more cutters and I will still hand cut stuff if I have a vision in my head. But I've gotten pretty far into this business and people trust me now. They don't need to see my sketches or my whatever. So make the dough, bake it out, let it sit for a while. I would say 12 hours or so before I decorate. Otherwise, the butter's just going to come right up into your icing. So you have to kind of give that a minute. And then icing colors, which take forever, but I love that part of it. And you just go from there.
So how long does it take you, if someone has a special birthday or something they're ordering, like how many cookies are you typically making for that?
I do have a minimum of 2 dozen. So if they want custom stuff, I've just recently moved into 2 dozen just because the time it takes for getting the design and corresponding and making the colors and everything, the dozen one is not, I don't want to say it's not worth it. It's just you want to do more with that time. And they can take hours to design them and everything, but the trick is the drying time. So if you really don't have enough drying time, it's not going to work because they have to dry 12 to 24 hours before you can bag them. So that's a huge chunk of the process. It's just leaving them alone.
So the whole process for 2 dozen cookies, start to finish, how much time investment is that?
I would say 3 days.
Wow. You're pretty much like a graphic designer and artist and all of it.
So if people come to you the day before and they're like, I don't know if this is possible, it's not that I am just saying no to you. It's legit the process. I can't just, but.
And how available typically are you? Are there times of the year where it's just like you're really booked out?
Yes, I have
Okay.
two times of the year. Right now we're in one for graduation.
Okay, sure.
So graduation, Mother's Day, nurse appreciation, a lot of wedding stuff kind of runs right into May and June. And so I will book 6 weeks out unless I offer a seasonal package or a seasonal
Sure.
set, which I'm doing right now. If you are on Instagram, the WSU set, I'm continuing to take those through this next week.
Right.
And Christmas, I will book 3 months in advance for
Wow.
Christmas stuff.
Wow. And so who are the clientele typically?
Well, I have a lot of repeat customers around
Yeah.
that I love. I would say moms with small kids. So a lot of birthdays, young birthdays, first birthday, second birthday. And I do a lot of weddings around here, a lot of weddings, bridal showers, baby showers, that kind of stuff. I would say that would be the bulk of the
Okay.
people ordering.
And like some business stuff too, right? Like corporate.
Pullman Regional has used me for new hires, new system that they did for the nurses. They were doing a whole new system. They ordered a bunch for those. Match day, where the nurses get matched to their, I've done that for them. And the local businesses around here, I've done some for Dunlap Towing. I just did MSI Engineering.
Okay.
I did their big holiday party. Aaron Donnelly said, don't move back to Georgia. We're using you every year. It's been good.
Typically, especially for the business stuff, it's like, this was awesome. We're like gonna do this on an annual basis or whatever.
Yeah.
And how long do the cookies last? I would think some of those businesses might, if they have a new hire, maybe they're trying to use it for like multiple new hires.
That's a good question. The cookies are actually, they're heat sealed in cellophane bags. So they're heat sealed like you're buying potato chips at the store or whatever. They'll stay fresh room temperature for 10 to 14 days.
Okay.
So you can leave them out, but I always give people freezing instructions because if you're ordering them, especially if you're ordering at a time where I'm booked, I give people the option to pick their stuff up the month before or a couple weeks before and put them in the freezer. And I think they're even better out of the freezer.
Oh, really?
So if it's like 2 to 3 months, that's my max in advance. They can freeze them and they're perfect. So if my calendar's full for your event, but I give you an option for earlier, a lot of people will take me up on that.
So a business could potentially have you make a whole bunch of something and then use that over the course of whatever.
Yeah, they could keep them in separate Tupperwares or Ziploc bags or something and just take them out as they need them. And that's it's a really great option. Realtors, you have client gifts or something and you have a dozen with your face or your logo. And I have an edible printer. You could print your QR code onto, they're all sealed. So you just pull them out as you need them, put them in a Ziploc bag and let them come to temp. It's a good option.
So you started out at a bakery in Georgia, and then what was the progression to doing it on your own?
Okay, I made a bad decision at first because when I finally got the guts after a decade at this bakery to say, I want to do this full time. I was seeing enough orders on the side. And my husband said, let's just do it. Let's go for it. We launched it in February of the COVID year.
Yeah.
And so then COVID hit and all the parties and everything were getting canceled. And I was like, I have to figure out a way to make some money. I just left my job and we have bills to pay. And he was an in-home trainer at the time. So you couldn't do any of that. What are we going to do? So I had been working on the recipe for the sugar cookies themselves and the icing. So I thought, what if we deliver DIY cookie boxes to people in the Atlanta area, Beretta, Milton, those kind of areas, and just drop them off on their doorstep and give them something to do with their kids? So I put it out there on social media. It blew up.
Wow.
We were making like 50, 100 boxes, and Nick and I were splitting the travel. So I would send him up north, and then I would hang around where we were. And people were getting to taste the cookies. They weren't decorated, but at least for your future events, they say, oh my God, these are really good.
And then after COVID, you were able to roll that in.
Yes. People were starting to order again, I would say graduation time into the fall. And so football season around there was huge. And so I was doing tailgate parties, birthdays, picking up graduation, that kind of stuff, and it just rolled. And so my first holiday season, I tried to put out boxes of just a set that I